What's up, guys? I'm going to talk about one investment decision slash series of decisions that I made that I really wish I wouldn't have done, and that I think definitely costed me some money throughout my life when I first started really investing heavily a few years ago. So just to give you guys a little bit of context, I think I made a video about this previously, but I started buying real estate at the age of 25. I'm 27 right now. I bought a duplex in St. Louis for about 82K, I think is what I bought it for. It's since become a lot more valuable. I've been able to make that a profitable deal. But I purchased a duplex in, I believe, 2023. 2023. And shortly after doing that, I had this burst of energy, right? That was something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, is invest in real estate. I was always told that, people who own real estate are, always going to be wealthy, all the stuff that you guys have heard as well. And I bought into it, and I purchased a deal, and it made me good money. And, that was honestly has been one of the best deals I've done because, my entire payment on that duplex in St. Louis, my entire payment for it is $525 a month, right? That's including my mortgage, that's including insurance, that's including property taxes, everything, right? So $525 a month, right? And I was able to charge, I think $900. I think one unit was $850, another one's $900. So overall, what is that? $1,750, $1,800 or so. Lots of money, right? So I've been able to cash flow on that for about 1,200, 1,300 bucks given the month, for a long time, right? That's just completely passive income. I haven't had to do very much for that. But my point is, I saw a little bit of success on that very first deal that I did, and ever since then, at least for about 12, maybe 18 months after I bought that first deal in 2023, I went and bought excuse me, I went and bought a handful of other properties as well. I bought a single family property, which ended up being a total disaster. I bought one of those. I bought another single family in North St. Louis City, which is not a great area, but that's kind of okay given the strategy that I had. I ended up making a little bit of money on that as well. I bought a duplex here where I live. I bought a single family here where I live. And I ended up having about 8 units total. And 8 units total may not seem like a big deal, but when you have a full-time job and other stuff going on as well, it's a massive deal. I was completely swamped in terms of like having to manage these rentals myself, and not necessarily knowing what I'm doing because I was a new investor. And it's something that I wish I would have taken a little bit more time to, learn about and slow down a little bit because, it's honestly, it cost me a little bit with my job. I wasn't nearly as focused on the things that I wanted to be doing at the time, which was, definitely excelling at my job. And I was constantly being pulled back and forth on different issues that I was having. Like, for example, the one deal that I told you about that was a single family house, that ended up getting mold. I had to go get that replaced. All the drywall I had to get swapped out and do a big kitchen remodel. All kinds of issues that have come from that kind of stuff. And guys, when you don't know what you're doing, the best thing to do is to dip your toes in the water instead of just jumping face first into the deep end, which is what I did. I'm just naturally kind of a, let's go do it type person, which of course can be good in some ways, but in other ways like this, it's definitely a bad thing because I bit off way more than I could chew, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was an inexperienced landlord, and I just jumped right into a business that I didn't really understand, and I had to figure it all out. And I was working way too hard. At least, I was working 24/7 almost. I'm exaggerating, but I was working a lot, just to solve these issues. And people that say that real estate is completely passive, that's ridiculous. There's all kinds of issues that are always popping up anytime you're trying to collect money. Anytime you have tenants, especially low income tenants, which is the people that I typically work with, there's always going to be issues with that, always going to be drama. People are, that are living in a duplex are complaining about this person next door smoking or all this different kind of stuff, guys. There's always going to be issues when it comes to that. And again, to bring this back to, the topic that we're talking about is I wish I wouldn't have moved so quickly on buying so many units because, yeah, it was nice having 8 properties that cash flowed, cumulatively like $5,000 a month, which is nice because that's nice money. But I was working way too hard on a investment portfolio that I really shouldn't have to manage myself. What I should have done, even if I did move quickly like that, is I should have hired a property manager who can just manage all that for me. Most property managers will take about 10 to 15% of the gross rent. So if you have a renter who's paying $1,000 a month, they'll take $100 a month, right? And they'll manage the entire thing for you. I don't have as much experience working with property managers because I've always kind of just done it myself just so I can learn. But that is definitely something I would, recommend to anyone who's getting started, is just having the help to be able to manage your properties, especially if you have a full-time job already. Because again, real estate is not a side gig, really. I mean, it can be, but it definitely requires a lot of bandwidth and eyeballs and people who can help you out, especially if you have more than 4 or 5 properties. If you have a house or two, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But if you have a bunch of properties, then it can be madness. And I can't even imagine what it's like having like a 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 plus unit portfolio. I've got some buddies that do real estate full time, and it's insane the problems they're dealing with. So I would definitely recommend, if you guys do get started in real estate, I would dip your toes in the water first. Maybe start by house hacking. I mean, again, that's something we've talked about extensively on this channel, is just doing house hacking and paying 5% down, 3%, 3.5% down, getting an owner occupied loan, buying a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, whatever it might be, even a single family house, buying a property using very little of your own money and living there while you're renting the other units out to tenants, right? If you're living in a single family house, you can just live in one room. A lot of people don't know that, right? If you buy a single family house that has, let's say, 4 bedrooms, you can live in bedroom number 1 and rent out bedroom number 2, 3, and 4, rent those out online, put it on Craigslist, put it on roomies.com, I think is one of them. You can rent out your room and charge, $400 or $500 for a room and have 3 other tenants that live with you, right? Do that for a year and then move out and do it again, and then rent out the room you were previously living in. So now you have 4 rented rooms, right? You could do this over and over and over again, and by you doing that, it's going to keep you in close proximity to your property, obviously, because you're living in it, and it's going to give you a lot more hands-on experience on how you can learn how to become a landlord, learn how to become successful doing that, learn how to manage tenants, learn how to collect money, all the different things that you're going to have to learn how to do if you're going to be in this business of real estate, which is just essential for you to know how to do, right? So if you can do that, I think that's the better way to get into real estate versus doing what I did, which is just buying a bunch of investment properties that I don't live in, and some that are a couple hours away, to where I can't just drive down the road and knock on the door if I need to do something, right? That's definitely what I would recommend to you guys if you're thinking about investing in real estate. Again, none of this is financial advice, but this is definitely something that would have helped me out as I got started. So anyway, guys, let me know if this helped you out. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you guys want to support us. Really appreciate everything you guys do helping us out with this movement. It's a small channel right now, but this is something that I really want to push out there to as many people as possible, especially young people who are just getting started. Because again, not to sound cheesy, but this is something that I really do wish that I would have known when I was younger, and hopefully something that can help you guys out with as well. So anyway, show us some love if you can. If not, no worries, guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Bye.